ในช่วงเช้านะคะเราเห็นภาพรวมไปแล้วค่ะเนื้อหาของช่วงบ่ายในวันนี้นะคะจะเป็นบทเรียนจากประสบการณ์ตรงเรารวมไปถึงไอเดียในการนำบทเรียนที่เราได้รับจากทั่วโลกนะคะมาปรับใช้ให้เหมาะกับบริบทของเราเองค่ะซึ่งเซสชันแรกในช่วงบ่ายนะคะเราจะได้พบกับผู้อำนวยการของห้องสมุดที่ดีที่สุดในโลกนะคะห้องสมุดแห่งเมืองเอสโปประเทศฟินแลนด์ค่ะแต่ว่าก่อนที่เราจะไปพบกับทีมที่สร้างสรรค์ The World Best Library นะคะฉันขออนุญาตนำทุกท่านค่ะไปพบกับภาพยนตร์สั้นที่นอกจากจะให้เราเห็นภาพบรรยากาศโดยรวมแล้วนะคะว่าทำไมห้องสมุดแห่งนี้ถึงเป็นห้องสมุดที่ดีที่สุดในโลกนะคะภาพยนตร์สั้นนี้เองค่ะก็ยังได้รับรางวัลด้วยนะคะเป็นรางวัลยอดเยี่ยมจาก IFLA Metropolitan Libraries Short Film Award 2019 อีกด้วยนะคะถ้าหากว่าพร้อมแล้วเดี๋ยวเราไปรับชมพร้อมๆกันเลยค่ะ
Welcome. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Finland, and Finland is now 100 years old. So here in Espoo Public Library, we will tell you 100 reasons why our libraries in Espoo are the best in the world. So let's go and see it because it's so cold in here. So our library services are protected by the law, and the law also says that the use of our libraries is free and open for everyone. So it doesn't matter if you're a tourist just visiting Finland, you are welcome, of course, to come use our libraries. The stated goals of the Library Act include promoting reading culture and versatile literary skills, lifelong learning, democracy, freedom of expression, active citizenship, and equal opportunities to access education and culture. Also, library cards are completely free by law. All we need is your ID and an address in Finland. Because everybody can get a library card, there's no age limit for library cards, so even babies can get one. You just need to have a parent with you. Getting kids to be familiar with libraries is crucial, and we play a vital part in their lives. Beginning of every school year, our libraries give a free book to every first grader in Espoo. We work with schools and have book tours promoting reading and literacy. We have workshops where kids can make animations, practice coding, and test different technologies.
This is Börje. Börje is a certified reading dog. Reading to Börje makes reading easier, especially for children.
We also have places for kids to play games and youth spaces where teenagers and young adults can hang around. And these places have things like table soccer, pool table, Xboxes, PlayStation, computers, and more. Our libraries in Espoo are these huge monumental buildings because we want our libraries to smoothly integrate to the everyday life of people. So that's why we have libraries in shopping centers, for example the Iso Omena library with shared spaces with other public services such as maternity and child health clinic, youth services, health center, National Social Security Office, and mental health and substance abuse services. So after visiting the nurse about your baby, you can borrow some books about parenting, and after that you can head to the Social Security Office to collect your free baby box, and after that you can head downstairs to do some shopping. We are now in the forest, and next to the forest we have the library of Bear Swamp. Really nice that we also have libraries so close to nature and nature so close to libraries. This library is a self-service library, which means that you can come here with your own library card even when staff is not present. And there are many this kind of libraries in Espoo, and it is all based in the system of trust and security cameras. We are now inside Palkki, a library bus which is really brand new. We have actually 2 library buses in Espoo, and they go around Espoo, for example near the schools, and you can see online all the places where it goes. This bus is also used for sexual education. It goes from school to school, and there are sexual health professionals who talk with teenagers about sexual health and things that teenagers might wonder about. And also we give out these library condoms for teenagers because it's good to be responsible and take care of yourself. For the people who are unable to come to libraries themselves, we delivered loans to you at home in bags like this. To make Finland feel like home, we also have services for immigrants. Those learning Finnish can come to our Finnish learning cafes, and we provide services also in the languages of our local communities. For refugees, we offer support in handling bureaucracy, and our staff has speakers in over 15 languages, and we have material in over 100 languages. Everyone is free to make music in our libraries, and for that we have electric drums, real drums, keyboards, pianos, grand pianos, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, air guitars, bass guitars, music rooms, recording workstations, professional notation programs and more. Many of our libraries have maker spaces like this one, and these are places where you can create and learn new things. Using these is completely free for everyone. Things in our maker spaces include 3D printers, expensive 3D printers, vinyl cutters, vinyl printers, poster printers, laminating machines, button machines, workstations for multimedia work, drawing screens, scanners for film, slides and large prints. Workstations where you can digitize videotapes, retro and Super 8 film, compact cassette, reel-to-reel magnetic tapes and vinyl records. We have sewing machines, overlock sewing machines, cover stitch machines and embroidery machines. This makerspace has a woodworking area, and this is like a heavy-duty creative action. And things we have here include our laser cutter, drill press, bandsaw, jigsaw, hot air gun, sanding machine, soldering station and lots of other tools. And just like you can borrow books, you can borrow all kinds of tools and items from our libraries. And things you can borrow include floppy disk drives, guitars, thermodetectors, basic tool sets, stud finders, gaiters, power consumption meter, sanding machine, cordless drills, hammer drills, rotary hammers, special drill bits, electric screwdrivers, tiny instruments, ukulele, kantele, bike pumps, spirit levels and trash pickers and more. We also have spaces that you can freely use. For example, meeting rooms, stages where you can have events, and community space with a kitchen, jukebox, DJ set and more. Our staff has excellent work ethic. Our working environment is very relaxed. We are open-minded, we are free to experiment and question the rules, and we take care of our occupational well-being, and we have the best parties. We also have water cooler. So I really hope you enjoyed our video, and I hope even more that you will come and visit our libraries. So see you in our libraries.
ขอเสียงปรบมือดังๆให้กับหนังสั้นเรื่องนี้หน่อยได้ไหมคะน่ารักมากๆเลยใช่ไหมคะด้านล่างดูแล้วเป็นยังไงบ้างคะโอ้โหอยากบินไปฟินแลนด์ตอนนี้เลยอะ ไม่แปลกใจเลยนะคะว่าทำไมห้องสมุดแห่งนี้ถึงเป็นห้องสมุดที่ดีที่สุดในโลกนะคะตอนนี้ค่ะเรามาฟังส่วนต่อขยายจากภาพยนตร์สั้นเมื่อสักครู่นี้กันต่อดีกว่าค่ะวันนี้นะคะเราได้รับเกียรติจากผู้อำนวยการห้องสมุดเมืองเอสโปประเทศฟินแลนด์ค่ะที่จะมาขยายให้เราฟังนะคะถึงเรื่องราวของพื้นที่ที่มีชีวิตแห่งนี้นะคะกับหัวข้อ Living and Flourishing with Change Development of Finnish Libraries ขอเสียงปรบมือดังๆนะคะต้อนรับคุณ Jaana Tyrni ค่ะ May I please invite Miss Jaana Tyrni on stage A big round of applause, please.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, you can. So it's a real pleasure for me to be here with you today. And I'm the library director of Espoo City Libraries. I'm going to tell you something about Finnish libraries and especially about our library in Espoo. This presentation is made by me and my colleague Topias Salonen, who you already know because he's the guy on the video. So first, something about Espoo, the city I come from. Espoo is situated next to Helsinki. It's a city of a lot of forests, many lakes, and long seashore. There is even a huge national park in Espoo. When people in Espoo were asked what they value about their hometown most, they said nature. For me personally, it means long walks in the forest every day with my dog. Espoo is also a city with no downtime at all. You can say that it's not actually a city. And the same goes to our library. We don't have a main library. Instead, we have 4 regional libraries, soon to be 5 regional libraries. Then we have 12 branches and two book mobiles. But as Anna said, I would be talking you about something about sivistys. It's a Finnish word, and the reason I'm talking about sivistys is that it is at the core of Finnish library and education system. And Anna also mentioned that even if you don't remember anything else from hers or mine presentation today, we really hope that you remember this word sivistys. So I would ask you to repeat after me, sivistys. Wow, you are great. That went well. So it's really hard to find a translation that really captures this word. And that's why I have not translated it. The idea behind the word is something really universal we all recognize. But you should remember that sivistys is unrelated to the word civilization or civilized. Actually, the word comes from the word sive, which means more like decent or chaste. Sivistys means respecting learning and knowledge, respecting education and culture. It also means respecting other people and being open-minded for new things, new ideas, and new thoughts. It is as much about personal development as it is a value in the society. It can be even seen as the most important value in society, at least in Finnish society. But to me, personally, sivistys means that you understand other people and that you are being understood by others. Sivistys isn't a permanent thing which stays once you have gotten it. Sivistys varies in time and is constantly defined from many perspectives. We really need to think what it is, what it requires, and how to respect it in our everyday lives. Part of sivistys is being open to these change and to growth. Public libraries and public education are both actors for implementing the article of constitutional law about sivistys, as Anna told you this morning very thoroughly. I think that the Finnish libraries really exist for taking care of sivistys. So, the Finnish library laws, they are rooted in Nordic views on democracy, equality, and freedom of speech, and Anna told you a lot about that this morning. There is a Finnish proverb saying, "Let all the flowers bloom," and it is about welcoming all people and many opinions. People with different backgrounds bring with them. And I think library laws in Finland really reflect this proverb. And as Finland developed as a state, so did library laws. Several speakers this morning mentioned that Finland has been a really poor country 100 years ago, in the beginning of 19th century. And I think that is the reason why the first Library Act, it emphasizes everyone's right to use library, and especially it means that those who are not so rich, like workers and farmers, are also allowed and welcome to use library. So the second one from the 60s, that one was about having libraries in every municipality so that everyone can really, in real life, access library. In the 80s, the focus was on expanding the areas where libraries are working. The book mobiles, for example, the first one were bought in the 60s. In the 60s, we also began storytelling hours, and many of those activities we still have in libraries. And in the 90s, it was all about internet and getting free network access to everyone. And actually in Finland, libraries were the first one to have public internet access for people. And at that time in Finland, not everyone had their mobile phones or computers to access internet. And then to the most recent Library Act, which is from 2016. That law broadened the goals of libraries. It also outlines what is the purpose of the Library Act itself. As you can see, the first point of this act defines sivistys as the most important goal of this act. I really think that Library Act gives a really strong mandate for public libraries to develop ambitious and new approaches to our work. So today, libraries really are an important part of society, and not for reading, but also for many kind of events, and also I think more and more about politics and how people really can be active citizens. And one good example of how libraries have a significant role in Finland is that in 2019, the new Finnish government published the government program at Helsinki Central Library Oodi, which Anna told you about this morning. And not only in Oodi, but the event in Oodi was followed by government members tour visiting tens of libraries all around Finland. And the visits were not only for presenting government's program, but also for discussing about it with ordinary people. For example, in Espoo libraries, there were altogether 3 events in our biggest libraries, and in every event there were like from 80 to 100 people listening and asking questions and discussing about this government program. So the cornerstones of Finnish libraries are that there is library in every municipality, and that libraries are free to use and also easy to use. And that easy to use means that back in days, libraries were open like from 10 a.m. to like 4 p.m. or 8 p.m. And really, really many libraries were closed on weekends, or at least they were closed on Sundays. But nowadays, for example, libraries in Espoo, all the big libraries are open also on weekends. And as it was on the video, that we have a concept called Open Library, which means at all the small branches, you can enter library with your library card. And that one has doubled the amount of visits in those libraries. There used to be a continuous discussion, for example, in Espoo, even when it is quite a wealthy city, that how about closing those small libraries, because we have those big libraries and people could go there instead of small libraries. But now, when the visits have doubled, nobody's talking about closing those libraries anymore. So I think that is a really good question. Somebody asked in the morning that how the lifestyle of people have been affecting on libraries and library policies. So expanding opening hours is, I think it's a really good example that people don't go, even in Finland, people don't go to bed like at 9 p.m. as they used to do in the countryside back in days. So you really need to have broader opening hours nowadays. And the library card is free of charge. The lending of all materials is free of charge. And in the last Library Act, they also decided that also reserving books should be free of charge. So we used to charge a small amount of money when you were placing holds on books, but nowadays it is free in every library in Finland. And most importantly, the guidance offered by staff is also free. For example, in our library, if you need assistance, for example, you are going to put your kid in a daycare, and then you have to fill in a form, an electronic form for it. And not everyone can finish so well, so you could need some assistance. You can book a time. It's called borrow a librarian, and you can have a librarian concentrating on just you for an hour. And then you can have whatever challenge you have in your life, we try to help. So, not all libraries have met their full potential yet to be everything New Library Act encourages us to be. But I think it's fair to say that most of them are still on the path of going there. So really many libraries still focus on offering books and on being silent places to study, and that's really okay. But increasingly, they are expanding their role and their responsibilities. And as I already said, library law gives a really good support for that one. So, for example, we don't know the role of physical books in the future. I think nobody knows, and yeah, you can say that in English language world it's very common to read e-books, but Finland is a really small country and we have our own language, and the publishers in Finland aren't so eager to let libraries lend e-books because they think that it can affect on their income of selling the books. So, but I think it's really important to bear in mind that Library Act does not mention books at all. Instead, the Library Act talks about access to diverse collections, information, sivistys, and culture. So, one thing the new Library Act changed radically was that it allows us to be more flexible and looks far in the future. So the new employment criteria for librarians aren't so tight anymore. This has helped us to hire people with many kind of know-how and many kind of educations. And I am aware that speaking to librarians as you, there are really many librarians that think that this is not a good thing. And I am not saying that we don't need librarians in libraries. We do need, but we need also many other competencies in library in order to do the many things you saw on the video and support the different kind of learning styles. So for example, in my library, there are art teachers, engineers, musicians, very many kind of people working in the library. And for example, you have a military service in Finland, and not everyone wants to go to that service. And there is an option that you can also work in public service or even in enterprises for 11 months. And in our library, all the time we have like from 20 to 25 young men working in our libraries. And it has been really good for us because librarians used to be like me, white ladies with academic education. And now we have very different kind of people, and those young men, they have the right attitude. They don't ask, why are you here? Why do you need this? I'm not sure if I can help you. They just try to help you. And also, for example, those maker spaces, there are really many things that can break. So it's really convenient to have those hands of those young men. They're really eager to fix things. So today, I think libraries can be so much more than a storage of information. And libraries have been putting a lot of effort and work in keeping physical library material in order. And more, our work will be learning together by using digital material as an information source. I was interviewed here yesterday, and that young lady asked me, what sort of people would I hire to library? And I told her that I would hire someone who mainly loves people, and yes, he or she can also love books, but she or he must love people. You can't work in a library nowadays if you don't like people. So, sivistys is a broad concept and goes beyond literature. And libraries are so much more than about books. I think the absolute core is the stories. And stories of our life are told both in books, but also in virtual reality. So, you saw the maker spaces and all those gadgets and tools. You can think that they are just for fun there, but no, they are for learning, also for fun, but mainly they are for learning. Because some people learn by seeing and reading, some by writing things down, some by listening, and others by doing things with their hands or even with their body. And for example, that virtual, those VR classes, they are really learning with your whole body. And I think that libraries should support all styles of learning, not only those people's learning who learn by reading. So our approach is learning without hierarchy. Customers can learn from us, but we also can learn from customers. And what's more important, customers can learn from each other. So, I know, not knowing everything and not being able to answer every question of customers, it's not easy for us librarians. It's a terrifying thing that you don't know the answer. But, and I think that learning together with customers, that really requires humbleness. And this photo is from one of our maker spaces, and you really can see that people are learning together. So, then we have a thing called Helmet Reading Challenge, and it lives in Facebook. It is a community with 14,000 members, and they are not following this site. They are really active, and it's all about discussing and giving tips about books. So each week there is a challenge, and the challenge is a little bit like a play, because it says that this week you should read a book with yellow color, or you should read a book from an author you never read anything from, or you should read a book about loneliness. There are very many kind of tips. And what is really delighting about this one is that the discussion there is really friendly and respecting. Nobody is like writing, "Oh, are you reading that rubbish?" They are like really supporting each other and telling that, "I like this book." And then when the year comes to the end and a couple of big people are asking, "I still have 3 points in order to end this challenge," then they are giving so many that this one is a really thin book, but it is on that subject, or it has yellow covers, so go on. So I think this is really a good example how people can learn from each other, and they don't all the time need us librarians to help them. So, we in Espoo, we are not just waiting in libraries for people to come to us, because not all people know there is a service like public libraries that is open for everyone. So you really have to go and tell them. And refugees is one example of those people. So in 2015, thousands, that means 30,000 refugees came to Finland. And really many of them came to Espoo. And those refugee centers, they really are located in the forest, you could say. So we, as a library, we went to the refugee centers with our book mobile. And what did we do there? We went and asked, "How can we help you?" So first, they told us that they need us to bring books to learn Finnish. After a couple of weeks and several cups of tea, they asked us, could we show them how to reach libraries and also grocery stores? Because those centers, as I said, are in the middle of nowhere, basically in the forest. So our staff members helped them to buy bus tickets and took a trip with them to regional centers. So now, after 3 or 4 years, most of them are regular customers of ours, visiting libraries and seeking help for arranging their everyday life. And as on the video you see, there are like a lot of kind of forms and bureaucracy, which isn't easy even for people who are born in Finland, but especially if your Finnish is not perfect, they are really complicated to fill in. And when you, for example, get your citizenship or your permit to stay in Finland, you really need to fill in several forms. So, I think also one thing which was mentioned earlier today was also that one task for libraries is to raise awareness about changes in society and help people to get a grasp of them. So for a year now, we have been building a humanoid robot, which is also a way for people to experience robotics and artificial intelligence firsthand, something which increasingly changes the world. So it's not just about doing, it's also like knowing what 3D printing is. Like, it was like 7 or 10 years ago, one customer called me and said, hey, I'm willing to, if the library would buy a 3D printing machine, I could show people what it is. So I was, first you have to tell me what it is. But at that time, they were like really expensive. They were like 5,000 euros, so we couldn't afford to buy it at that time. But after a couple of years, the prices went really down, and then we could buy one, but we didn't know how to use it. So we hired a young man, age of 17, for his summer job, and he taught us what it is and how to use it. And then next winter, we still were like a little bit afraid that if someone comes and there is no one who really knows this, then we hired him to come once in a week during an evening to help people and especially to teach us. So about the change, it is always hard to give up something you've been doing for years. And I think this is the case with library CD collections. And as you can see, the loans of music CDs has going down very dramatically during last years. So, what we did is that we have kept the budget for music the same, but now we refocused on community music activities and education. So instead of lending CDs, we arranged very many kind of community music activities. And you could ask why, because there are like music institutions doing that. But the difference between us and music institutions is that in libraries' music sessions, you don't have to be musically talented or you don't have to pay anything. So it's a huge difference for many people. So there was a lot of talk about schools and libraries. And in Espoo, we have created a collaboration model between schools and library services. And teachers have like 3 service paths parts where they can choose from. One is called culture service part. There are kids can go to theater or to concert or to museum. Then there is a part called sports service part and then library service part. And these service parts have been planned with close cooperation between libraries and teachers. And why we have made it a model? Because it's really important that every class visits library, not only those classes whose teachers consider library worth to visit. So, in library service part, there are different modules from reading promotion and book talks. So, like really traditional library services. And then there is 3D printing, coding, escape room, games, and the teacher decides what she wants for her class. And one example of is a media mystery game. And it's an example how to learn by playing and having fun. So the idea behind it is that it teaches students the basic principles of social media and information security as a game, where they must protect library from a virus attack. And to support these book talks and reading promotion tours, we also have electronic reading lists that can be found and, if needed, also to be printed from both on library websites and on special sites designed for teachers and students. And although Finnish libraries are not all about working with education system, schools and daycare are the most important cooperation partners for libraries. And as you can see, we still take books to schools and daycare centers with Book Mobile. But as on the video, we also host different kind of events in our Book Mobiles. And one example was that Lempibussi, so love bus. And I think it's really important also to talk about love, not only sex with teenagers. And actually, Book Mobile is a small place where it feels really safe enough to talk about things which aren't so easy to talk about. So I think that is the reason that you can use mobile library in a very different way and take advantage of the small and cozy feeling there is in the Book Mobile. And we have also a similar tour for children about bullying. And then we also take part in those huge events organized in the city or even like in Helsinki. So we have been a part of Pride events in Helsinki. And I think the reason is that library gets visibility at the same time, but it really shows that library is for everybody, for real. So, our libraries have youth spaces with different activities, and we really think that culture is not just about high culture or culture of adults. Children and teenagers have their own culture, and for inclusion and participation, it is important young people have opportunities to get familiar with different aspects of your culture. A teenager, for example, who doesn't know the games his friends are playing is at risk of being left out. So, it is often said that young people are natives of digital world, and sure, they are used to mobile devices and internet, but they really need guidance in many aspects of network and should not be left alone to learn those things they encounter internet. I think no one's really actually native in the digital world. So because society is changing quicker and quicker, libraries must continuously be alert what it really is that people need or want to learn. Digitalization, social media, disinformation, globalization, environmental issues, all create new information needs in society. And it is all about reacting to the needs of all people, not just kids. But unfortunately, libraries don't need to do all this by themselves. We have plenty of organizations to collaborate with. So, for example, in Espoo, there are really many people who have retired, and they come to library very regularly each week to teach other elderly people with computers and iPads, because young people, there are really many like elderly people who come to library that said that my daughter or daughter's daughter bought me an iPad, and now they are living abroad, and they just said to me that let's Skype, and now I have this thing, but I don't even know what Skype is. So, according to my opinion, the results of library services should be evaluated mostly by the use and opinions of customers. So, as Anna told you in the morning, also in Espoo, 80% of residents have visited library during last 12 months. And of all people living in Espoo, 89% think that libraries are well managed. Then there is like 9% who answered that no, I really don't know if they are well or badly managed. And then only 2% is saying that yes, they are badly managed. And then nearly 2,000 people visit libraries in Espoo each day. And Anna showed you figures that it's approximately 15 loans and 8 visits per inhabitant in Finland. But in Espoo, it's like 13 loans, but near 14 visits. So we have so many people who just come to library for many other things than just learning books. And altogether, it's 4.2 million loans. And what I'm really, really happy about, half of the book loans are children and youth literature. And also, when we are buying new books, we put over half of the budget for books to children material. So we are really supporting, and as Anna said, that children, they are really the most important target group we have, and I think it really is an investment for the future to let all the people know what library can offer to them. So although it's really nice to get very many kind of prizes, but the most important thing is that people use library and that they say, this is good what you are doing. But I am proud that our mayor chose our library last year, the education organization of the year. So these are the prizes, and also I think Oodi Library has been good, really good. Somebody asked in the morning that what are the means of advertising libraries in Finland, and I think Oodi has been a really good in that sense because it got so much publicity, and people realized like all over again that, wow, we have these libraries all over in Finland. Perhaps there were people who had somehow got it that we really do have libraries all over the Finland, and that really many libraries in Finland are doing good work, not only Oodi. And at the same time, they see that the new library is really there already. So, last week, we had an international Harry Potter Day, combining literature, activities, and diverse skills of staff. I think it's an absolute fine example how to teach children, among other things, the difference between science and magic in a really hilarious way. And it was really popular. In this library where this photo is taken, there were over 2,500 visitors that evening during these different events. So, I would like to thank you with what we in Espoo City Library hope our society could be if we succeed in our work. We hope we have an equal and inclusive society where we learn, think, create, and respect each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you please remain on the stage?
Yeah.
So we are moving on to the Q&A session. We are going to open the question from the floor. มีท่านใดมีคำถามช่วงนี้สามารถถามได้เลยนะคะมีไหมคะถ้ามียกมือขึ้นสูงๆเลยค่ะเชิญค่ะ
Thank you. Oh, hi, Anna. Oh,
Hi.
wonderful.
Hi.
So many interesting questions to ask. I'll
Yeah,
keep
I'm
it to
sure.
one. You talked about in Finland how you can choose to do civic service, work for a library,
Yeah.
a 19, 20-year-old instead of doing military
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
I've heard about that sort of thing in other countries like Switzerland and so forth.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious, I didn't catch how long this has been going on, and kind of my question is it continuing on? Like, are these 19 and 20-year-olds who are coming in and doing their service in the library instead of military service, are they staying on, or are they coming back into the library at some point in the future? Like, are you getting retention?
Yeah, actually, really many of them are now our members of our permanent staff. So we have hired them. They have either gone to the library school, or we have a thing called you can like have your degree working in library and then taking part of education like 4 days a month or something like that, and then they have a teacher also in library who teaches them things. And I think they are actually a really good thing on advertising library. Even if they don't stay at library, they are telling their experiences about library because they have been there for 11 months.
มีคำถามท่านอื่นไหมคะเชิญค่ะเจ้าหน้าที่อยู่ตรงกลางค่ะเดี๋ยวรบกวนยืนขึ้นนิดนึงนะคะ
Okay, as I'm a school librarian, I just want to know, I wonder just what you're saying. You're saying that you and the teachers are surely have the children come to the public library regularly, right? And I wonder, do you have any collaboration with the school libraries or have anything work with the school library in Finland?
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are school libraries in Finland, but they are like really small, and normally it works like that one teacher is taking care of the library, like she has or he has like 1 or 2 hours a week for taking care of library. And we have helped them, we have like catalogued their books and helping them to buy a library system. But I think more and more teachers are, like also for lending books, they work in a way that they search our online catalog. They have, the classes have library cards, then they put holds on books, and when all the books have came to library, then they collect them at one time. So they mainly use public libraries, but there still are. But actually, last year, a really, really huge high school was built in Espoo, and it was supposed to have a school library. But when the high school students heard about it, they said that, no, we don't want to have an old-fashioned school library. We want to have a public library in our school because it's open also in the evenings and on the weekends, and they have that marvelous system of open library. So what we did, we changed with the headmasters, we changed the plan. So we opened a public library there. We hadn't got any furniture at all, so the space was really empty when we opened it. And then we invited both those students from high schools and also all the university service design students to decide how the what to have in that library space. And now really I'm really excited about it because those high school students really, they said that it's very common that organizations ask young people, what would you like to have? But then they don't really listen because when they come and they see, no, nothing we wished for is here. But they said, we really can now see that all the things we wished for are really here now. And now they are giving storytelling hours, they are giving help for math for younger children there each week. So they are also participating in the work of library. So I think that's a sign that they really feel that it is their library.
เชิญค่ะ เดี๋ยวรบกวนยืนขึ้นนิดนึงนะคะ
Hi, thank you for a very interesting talk. Now I just would like to hear your thought from imagine that you're coming to a La La Land, right? Where there is no support from government whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
Right. And you are supposed to set up a community library
It's
to
really...
serve intergeneration or multi-generation with limited budget.
I know.
What is the most important thing you think? And what is the first thing would you like to do?
Someone
Thank you.
asked me that also in the parliament yesterday. And I'm going to answer you the same way, that you should keep the doors open. That's the first thing. Because if the doors are closed, nobody can come. And then I would say the other thing is focusing on children and on families, because I think that it really is an investment for future. And actually, yeah, we have really many kind of gadgets and tools and things like that, but really many things we are doing are don't like demand so much money. And perhaps the third thing is that if you get the customers also doing the work, that is, for example, those language cafes. First we had members of staff there, but nowadays they are run by volunteers. So we just like serve the tea at the beginning of it, and after that they are working together. And if we have trainees in library, and in very many cases we have trainees who are learning also Finnish, they are there for learning Finnish. So they are in those language cafes also. So there is, I think one thing is that there really is, I think in every society there are people who are eager to do volunteer work, if you ask them. And if you find something they are really interested in.
มีคำถามเพิ่มเติมไหมคะ ไม่มีแล้วนะคะ Alright, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, please give a big round of applause to Miss Jaana Tyrni.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for a very
Thank
fruitful
you.
information in session.